You're going broke trying to prepare for disasters. Most preppers waste thousands on gear they'll never use while ignoring the financial mistakes that will actually destroy them. Today, I'm showing you the 10 financial errors that separate smart preppers from broke preppers. Welcome back to Bunker Down Survival. I'm going to be direct with you today. The prepping industry wants you to buy more gear. They profit when you panic buy expensive equipment. But real financial preparedness? That doesn't sell products. That's why nobody talks about it. I've analyzed the spending patterns of hundreds of preppers, and the same costly mistakes show up over and over. These aren't small errors. These are financial decisions that can cost you tens of thousands of dollars and leave you less prepared than when you started. Let's break down the 10 biggest financial mistakes preppers make. Mistake number 1, buying before budgeting. This is the most expensive mistake. Someone discovers prepping, gets excited, and immediately drops $3,000 on gear without any financial plan. They buy a bug-out bag, tactical equipment, freeze-dried meals, and the latest survival gadgets. 3 months later, they're broke, stressed, and can't afford to continue preparing. Or worse, they went into debt buying prep supplies. Here's the reality. Preparedness is a marathon, not a sprint. You need a multi-year financial plan, not an emotional shopping spree. Before you buy a single piece of gear, you need to answer these questions. What's my monthly prep budget? What's my total first-year prep budget? What's my 5-year plan? What's my priority order for purchases? Most preppers never ask these questions. They just buy whatever looks cool on YouTube. That's financial suicide. A proper prep budget should be 3 to 5% of your monthly income. If you make $4,000 a month, that's $120 to $200 for prep spending, not $3,000 in 1 month and then nothing for 6 months. Consistent monthly preparation beats panic buying every single time. The prepper who spends $150 monthly for 3 years will be far better prepared than the guy who spent $5,000 in 1 weekend.
Mistake number 2, ignoring debt while prepping. I see this constantly. People with $20,000 in credit card debt buying expensive prep gear. That's insane. Your debt is a bigger threat to your survival than any disaster scenario. Think about it. If you lose your job, if the economy crashes, if medical bills hit, your debt destroys you immediately. But that bug-out bag? It sits in your closet, doing nothing. Here's the priority order. Pay off high-interest debt first. Credit cards, personal loans, anything above 7% interest. This should be your number 1 financial prep. Every dollar toward high-interest debt is a dollar that stops working against you. The average credit card interest rate is 20%. If you have $10,000 in credit card debt, you're paying $2,000 a year in interest alone. That's $2,000 that could go to actual preparedness. I know this isn't exciting. Paying down debt doesn't feel like prepping. But financial freedom is the foundation of all preparedness. A prepper with 0 debt and a modest stockpile is far more resilient than a prepper with massive debt and a garage full of expensive gear. Your debt is a guaranteed disaster. Prep for the guaranteed disaster before you prep for the hypothetical one. Mistake number 3, buying gear instead of reducing expenses. Most preppers focus on accumulating stuff while their monthly expenses stay high. This is backwards thinking. Real preparedness starts with cutting your monthly burn rate. Every dollar you're not spending monthly makes you more resilient to economic disruption. Let me give you 2 scenarios. Prepper A has $10,000 in gear, but spends $4,000 a month on expenses. Prepper B has $2,000 in gear, but cut his expenses to $2,000 a month. Who's better prepared for job loss, for economic recession, for long-term crisis? Prepper B by a mile. He can survive twice as long on the same savings. His lifestyle is sustainable on lower income.
His financial stress is minimal. But most preppers obsess over gear while ignoring their cable bill, car payment, subscriptions, and eating out habits. Here's what actually matters. Cut your housing costs if possible. Eliminate your car payment by driving something older. Cancel subscriptions you don't use. Cook at home instead of restaurants. These changes can save you $1,000 to $2,000 monthly. That money can go toward building an emergency fund, paying off debt, or strategic prep purchases. But more importantly, your reduced expenses mean you're resilient every single day, not just during disasters. A prepper who cut his expenses by $1,500 monthly is saving $18,000 a year. That's $18,000 that can go toward land, solar panels, or building a real safety net. Expensive monthly lifestyle plus expensive prep gear equals broke prepper. Minimal monthly expenses plus strategic preparation equals actual resilience.
Mistake number 4. Buying completed solutions instead of building systems. Preppers love buying finished products. Expensive bug-out bags, pre-made emergency kits, complete food storage packages. These are convenient, but financially stupid. A pre-made 72-hour kit costs $300. Building the same kit yourself costs about $120. You're paying $180 for someone else to put items in a bag. Pre-packaged freeze-dried food? You're paying premium prices for branding and convenience. Buying the same freeze-dried ingredients in bulk and packaging them yourself cuts costs by 40 to 60%. This applies to everything. Building your own first aid kit, assembling your own water storage, creating your own food storage rotation. All of these cost a fraction of pre-made solutions. But here's the bigger issue. When you build systems yourself, you understand them. You know what's in your kit. You know how it works. You can repair and replace components. You've developed skills in the process. The prepper who built his own systems can adapt and improvise. The prepper who bought complete solutions is dependent on manufacturers. Yes, building takes more time. Yes, it requires research and effort. But you save massive amounts of money, and you gain knowledge that's more valuable than the gear itself. The exception is technical equipment you can't build. Quality water filters, solar panels, communications gear. Buy these. But anything you can assemble yourself, do it yourself.
Mistake number 5. Neglecting insurance while buying gear. This is financially backwards. Preppers will spend thousands on unlikely disaster scenarios, but skip basic insurance that protects against common disasters. Proper insurance is preparedness. Health insurance protects you from medical bankruptcy. Disability insurance protects your income. Life insurance protects your family. Homeowners or renters insurance protects your property. These aren't optional. These are financial foundation. Yet I constantly see preppers without adequate insurance dropping money on tactical gear. Here's the math. The average American has a 1 in 4 chance of becoming disabled before retirement. That's 25%. Compare that to the odds of needing your bug-out bag, maybe 1%. Yet people have $3,000 bug-out bags and no disability insurance. That's emotional prepping, not logical prepping. Good insurance isn't expensive if you shop properly. Term life insurance for a healthy 40-year-old costs about $50 monthly for a $500,000 policy. Disability insurance costs 1 to 3% of your income. These protect you from statistically likely disasters, medical emergency, disability, death, house fire, car accident. These happen to millions of people every year. Your tactical gear protects you from statistically unlikely scenarios. Which should you prioritize financially? Get your insurance foundation solid First, adequate health coverage, disability insurance if you have dependents, term life insurance if people depend on your income, proper homeowners or renters coverage. Then, and only then, should you buy expensive prep gear for unlikely scenarios.
Mistake number 6, buying retail instead of buying smart. Most preppers buy everything at full retail price from big-name stores. They're paying maximum price for minimum value. Smart preppers buy used, buy bulk, buy off-season, and buy from unconventional sources. Camping gear? Buy used from Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, estate sales. Quality camping gear lasts decades. You can get $500 items for $50 if you're patient. Food storage? Buy bulk from restaurant supply stores or online bulk retailers. 50-pound bags instead of 5-pound bags. The savings are massive. Tools? Estate sales, yard sales, pawn shops. You can outfit an entire workshop for a few $100s if you buy used quality tools instead of new cheap tools. Tactical gear? Military surplus stores. Real military gear used by actual soldiers, selling for 20 to 30% of retail tactical brand prices. This requires patience. It requires research. It requires being willing to buy used. But your dollar goes 3 to 5 times further. I know a prepper who spent 8 years building his prep on a tight budget. He bought almost everything used or on deep discount. His total investment was about $4,000. The retail value of his gear and supplies? Over $15,000. He tripled his buying power through patience and smart shopping. Compare that to the prepper who panic bought everything new at full price and spent $15,000 for the same result. Who's smarter? Retail is for people who don't respect their money. Smart preppers buy value, not convenience. Mistake number 7, forgetting ongoing costs. Preppers budget for initial purchases, but forget that preparedness has ongoing costs. This destroys budgets and leads to abandoned prep plans. Freeze-dried food? It expires. You need to rotate and replace. That's ongoing cost. Water storage? You should rotate annually. Batteries? They need replacement every few years. Garden, seeds, soil amendments, tools wear out. Firearms? Ammunition, maintenance, training costs. Nothing is one and done. Everything has life cycle costs. The prepper who spent $10,000 on gear but didn't budget for maintenance, rotation, and replacement is going to have problems. 5 years later, his supplies are expired, his equipment is failing, and he can't afford to replace anything because he never budgeted for it. Smart preppers calculate total cost of ownership. Initial purchase plus annual maintenance plus replacement cycle. A generator is a perfect example. You can buy a generator for $600. Great. But you also need to budget for fuel stabilizer, oil changes, spark plug replacement, annual test runs using fuel, and eventual parts replacement or new generator. The true annual cost of owning a generator is probably $150 to $200 per year. Over 10 years, that's $2,000 total cost of ownership for a $600 generator. Most preppers never think about this. They buy the generator and then can't afford to maintain it. 10 years later, it won't start, and they wasted $600. Budget for life cycle costs or don't buy the item. Mistake number 8. Buying depreciating assets instead of appreciating assets. Most prep gear depreciates immediately. You buy it, it loses value. Try to resell it, you get 30 to 50% of what you paid. But some preparedness investments appreciate or at minimum hold value. Land appreciates. Solar panels pay for themselves and add home value. Quality hand tools hold value. Heirloom seeds stored properly maintain value. Precious metals hold value. Skills increase your earning power. Compare two preppers.
Prepper A spends $10,000 on gear that depreciates to $5,000 in resale value. Prepper B spends $10,000 on a down payment for land that appreciates. 5 years later, Prepper A's gear is worth maybe $3,000. It's used, outdated, some of it's expired. Prepper B's land increased in value. He has equity. He can borrow against it. He can sell it for profit. Who made the smarter financial decision? I'm not saying don't buy necessary gear. I'm saying be strategic. Prioritize investments that hold or gain value. Solar panels that reduce your electric bill while providing crisis backup. Land that appreciates while providing food production and shelter security. Tools that last generations and hold resale value. The prepper who thinks financially long-term will build actual wealth while preparing. The prepper who only thinks about crisis scenarios will spend money on depreciating assets that don't improve his financial position. Preparedness should strengthen your finances, not weaken them.
Mistake number 9. Storing wealth incorrectly. Preppers understand that cash in banks can be vulnerable, but their solution is often financially foolish. I see preppers converting all their savings into physical silver or gold, or into crypto, or into gear and supplies. They think they're protecting wealth, but they're actually creating problems. You need liquidity. You need cash that's immediately accessible for everyday emergencies. Car repair, medical bill, job loss. These require actual money, not silver bars. The smart allocation is tiered. 3 to 6 months of expenses in a regular savings account, immediately accessible for normal emergencies. This is Tier 1. Boring, but essential. Tier 2 is 3 to 6 months in slightly less liquid but still accessible forms. Maybe a money market account or short-term bonds. Still pretty accessible, but earning slightly better returns. Tier 3 is long-term wealth preservation. This is where precious metals, crypto, and other alternative stores of value make sense. But this should be money you don't need for years. The prepper who converted everything to silver has a problem when his transmission fails. He can't pay the mechanic with silver coins. He has to sell silver, probably at a loss, convert to cash, then pay the bill. The prepper who kept proper cash reserves handles the transmission repair without stress, and his silver holdings stay intact for long term. Most financial emergencies need immediate cash, not precious metals. Keep adequate liquid reserves before you convert wealth to alternative forms.
Mistake number 10. Failing to track spending and measure return on investment. Most preppers have no idea how much they've actually spent on preparedness. They buy things impulsively, don't track costs, and never evaluate whether their spending is effective. This is how you waste thousands. You think you've spent $2,000, but you've actually spent $6,000. You think you're getting value, but you're buying duplicate items or things you never use. Smart preppers track every prep purchase. They maintain a spreadsheet: date, item, cost, purpose, and notes about usefulness. This serves multiple purposes. You see your actual spending. You can identify waste. You can evaluate return on investment. You can plan future purchases based on real data. After 1 year, a prepper who tracks spending can look at their data and see patterns. Maybe they spent $800 on food storage, and it's been incredibly useful. They spent $600 on tactical gear they've never used. That's actionable intelligence. Next year, they shift money from tactical gear to food storage because data shows what's actually valuable. The prepper who doesn't track spending just keeps buying random stuff based on emotion and YouTube videos. 5 years later, they're broke with a garage full of unused gear. Treat your preparedness like a business. Track costs, measure results, adjust strategy based on data. This is how you maximize the value of every dollar spent.
So, those are the 10 financial mistakes that are costing preppers thousands of dollars. But what's the solution? How do you actually prep financially smart? Here's the framework. Start with financial foundation. Pay off high-interest debt. Build 3 to 6 months emergency fund in cash. Get proper insurance coverage. This is phase 1. Not exciting, but absolutely essential. Phase 2 is reduce monthly expenses. Cut everything possible. The goal is to reduce your burn rate so you can survive on less income and have more money available for preparation. Phase 3 is strategic purchasing with a long-term plan. You have a written budget. You buy based on priority, not emotion. You shop smart, buy used when possible, and track all spending. Phase 4 is investing in appreciating or value-holding assets. Land, solar, quality tools, skills training, things that improve your finances while preparing you. Phase 5 is wealth preservation through diversification. Cash reserves, then precious metals, then alternative stores of value. This sequence builds real financial resilience that works every day, not just during crisis. I created a detailed guide breaking all of this down with actual numbers, budget templates, and purchase priority lists. It's called the Financial Preparedness ebook, and it's available for download. I'll link it in the description below. It includes spreadsheet templates, year-by-year prep budgets, and ROI calculators for different prep investments. The ebook goes much deeper into strategic financial prep than I can cover in one video. If you're serious about doing this right financially, grab the download. Here's the bottom line. The prepping industry profits when you panic buy expensive gear. They don't profit when you pay off debt, reduce expenses, and build actual financial resilience. That's why nobody talks about this stuff. But financial preparedness is more important than gear preparedness for 99% of likely scenarios. The financially prepared prepper with modest gear is far more resilient than the broke prepper with expensive gear. Most disasters you'll face are economic: job loss, medical bills, inflation, recession. Your financial foundation determines whether you survive these or get destroyed by them. Build financial resilience first, then add gear strategically based on real budget and data-driven decisions. What's your biggest financial prep mistake? Have you made any of these 10 errors? Drop a comment. Let's talk about real financial preparedness, not just gear collecting. If this changed how you think about prep spending, hit subscribe to Bunker Down Survival. Next week, we're covering insurance policies preppers actually need and what standard policies don't cover in disasters. And don't forget to grab the Financial Preparedness ebook in the description. It's got all the templates and calculators to implement what we talked about today. Remember, prepared minds survive, but prepared finances survive even more. Don't go broke trying to prepare for disasters.